Hello Year 7 and welcome to our lesson on geothermal energy. So what I want you to do is write down the date, the title and the LO and try the starter task please. So if you want to pause the video now and I will reveal the answers in 5 seconds. Okay, what does thermal mean? So thermal means anything to do with heat. So give yourself a mark if you got that right. What is geography? So geography is the study of the earth. Okay, so put a mark if you got that right. And then lastly, what is a tectonic plate? So that is parts of the Earth's crust that are broken up into sections. Okay, so the crust is broken up into sections. Each of these sections is called a tectonic plate. Relating to questions 1 and 2, if geography means the Earth and thermal means heat, then what do you think geothermal means? Okay, so geo means earth, thermal means heat, so it's talking about heat coming from the earth. So what I want you to do is I want you to watch this video of the geyser Old Faithful erupting in Yellowstone Park, which is in America. Or is it Canada? I'm pretty sure it's America. So I want you to watch the video and then try and think about why the water is so hot and where the water comes from. And then we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So if you want to pause the video and watch the other video, please. Okay, task from the previous lesson. So from the words below, I want you to label the diagram of the layers of the earth. Now you don't have this diagram, you're more than welcome to print it off, but you can just write your answers in your book, that's fine. Okay, so pause the video here and I will tell you the answers in 5 seconds. Okay, so the inner core is the one in the middle. And then if you were describing the properties, then this is the hottest layer. It's also a solid because of all the pressure. Okay, the next one is the outer core. So it's still very hot, but not as hot as the inner core. And it is a liquid. And then the next one is the mantle. It's decreasing in heat as we go further out. Okay, so it's still hot, but not as hot as the core. And it's molten. And then we have the crust, which is the coolest of all of the layers, because that is the layer that we live on. Okay, so the crust is the one on the very outside, and it's a solid. Okay, so today we are learning about geothermal energy and how we can use it as an alternate energy source. So this is energy that comes from radioactive substances deep within the earth. Now, does location matter? Yes, it does, because we need places in the earth where there are gaps that this heat can come up from the ground. Okay, so geothermal power plants are built close to where tectonic plates meet or where there is volcanic activity. So we need a gap somewhere where there are gaps in the ground that lets the heat up. So you can see all these red dots here are places where we could build geothermal power plants. Okay, Iceland has a lot of geothermal power plants, which we'll go through later on in the PowerPoint. So this is us here. I don't know why Scotland is missing, and I don't know why we're so close to France. This isn't a very accurate map, but this is supposed to be us here. So do you think it would be appropriate for us to try and build a geothermal power plant in England? I want you to write down your answer to that question, please. So pause the video and I will give you the answer in 5 seconds. So Do you think that we could build a geothermal power plant in England, and why? Okay, so the answer is no, because we don't have any volcanic activity at all. We're not close to the edge of a tectonic plate. There is nowhere for us to build a geothermal power plant. There's no hot air rising from the ground, or volcanoes or geysers. Okay, and we have a YouTube video that I would like you to watch, please. So pause this video and watch that video, please. Again, the link to this video, if you can't click it, if you are watching me talking on YouTube, I will put a link to the video in the description. Okay, so this is what happens in a geothermal power plant. So we have hot water. So hot water in the form of steam is taken from hot rocks within the earth. So warm rocks in the earth produce steam. So remember, when water is really hot, it turns into steam, which is a gas. So this steam comes up and it is used to turn a turbine. So it goes up and across and it spins this turbine. That turbine spins the generator, and the generator converts kinetic energy into electrical energy. The water is then cooled down in a cooling tower. So once it gets over here, it's not steam anymore because it's going to be cooled down. It's going to be turned back into a liquid, and then it is put deep back in the earth, and then the whole process starts again. So this is what we call renewable energy, because this water is never going to run out. It's going to continuously be recycled. Okay, so remember, non-renewable means it will run out eventually. So things like coal and oil and natural gas, those will run out eventually. That's why we need renewable energy like this. Okay, because this will last forever. But again, it can only be in certain places in the world. We can't build these plants everywhere. So what I want you to do is, you can draw a picture if you want to, but I want you to list what happens in a geothermal power plant, please. So pause the video and I'll continue in 5 seconds. Okay, pros and cons. So that means advantages and disadvantages. So an advantage of geothermal energy, they produce renewable energy. So remember, that means it won't run out and it's not bad for the environment. No fuel is used. There's very, very little pollution, and it's quiet. Much of the technology needed is hidden underground. Okay, so they don't have big ugly factories everywhere that make a load of noise. Okay, so these are all the good things about geothermal energy. The disadvantages is it can only be used in some areas around the world where the Earth's crust is thin. So Iceland has a lot of them that I've mentioned before, and you'll see that in the video on the next slide. Sometimes the hot water that is pumped to the surface contains pollutants such as sulfur. Sorry, that's spelled wrong. But it contains pollutants such as sulfur that is bad for the environment. So they need to make sure that they are building these power plants in the correct places. Otherwise, it can be a little bit dangerous sometimes. Okay, what I want you to do now is watch this video about Iceland and how they have managed to get lots and lots of renewable energy to power nearly everything that they have. Okay, and once you've watched that, I want you to answer the questions that I will put in bold on Show My Homework, please. Okay, so that is the end of today's lesson. I hope you all have a wonderful day.